C'est sélectionné. Moi, ça va. Des mauvaises. Non, des concerts. Qui commencent en banlieue. Et les plus riches sont toujours pour nous la famille Accès, par exemple, d'assaut. Donc, toute la sociale. La vidéo de comment ce sont des clients qui m'appellent. Jamais appelé un client. Ce qui est très rare. Donc j'étais autonome à 100% et je faisais. Ah oui, ça me dit quelque chose, ça me vole. Je dois être une exception caractère parce que quand on travaille pour des milliardaires, moi quand je faisais c'est les sorties privées. Par exemple, j'ai des soirées terminales Adobe, ce qui a témoigné en sociologie de l'art.
Bonsoir. C'est bon? Ok. Bonsoir, bienvenue à tous pour cette rencontre dans cette exposition, l'exposition Afirmação, organisée ici par la Galerie du Jour, qui réunit 11 artistes qui font vibrer une génération brésilienne passionnante, engagée et très importante. J'ai le plaisir d'avoir à mes côtés Sabrina Fidalgo, qui est une des artistes qui est présentée dans l'exposition, qui a fait une vidéo spécialement pour l'exposition, qui s'appelle Black Joy, dont qu'elle va nous présenter, et d'être accompagnée par Ademar Britto, qui a 1000 casquettes, mais qui est notamment commissaire d'exposition, qui écrit, qui accompagne les artistes, et qui va parler avec Sabrina, qui va aussi se présenter. Je vous invite à me rejoindre. Je vais vous laisser, Ademar et Sabrina présenter, parler de la vidéo, prendre ça comme point de départ pour aussi parler de leur travail respectif. Et après, on pourra aussi échanger. Merci.
Bonjour, bonsoir à tous. Je vais essayer de parler un peu de français. Ça fait déjà longtemps que je ne pratique pas, mais il y a 10 ans, j'étais un étudiant étranger ici à Paris 5. Et à ce temps-là, je me rappelle d'aller à la Galerie du Jour, à la rue qu'elle, au Marais, pour le vernissage. Et ça, c'est très cool d'être ici comme commissaire de l'exposition. Mais on va parler en anglais, in French, in English. And I think it would be more interesting for the people that is watching at home. And Sabrina, elle est courant beaucoup de langues, but the French is not very comfortable to her.
Pas encore.
I want to say that I'm happy to be here. It's very, very important for me to be here talking about the Brazilian art scene. And then I invite everyone to read the text that I made for the exhibition, where I contextualize the art scene in Brazil in our situation. Brazil is very known, it's a very popular country, but people have an image of joy, and the carnival and everything is not always like this. And as a black person living in a South American country, a lot of things happen. And in those works, they are not directly strictly political, but they mean a lot for the political moment in Brazil. And I was very touched when Sabrina said that she wanted to talk about black joy, which is a theme that is not very much popular nowadays. Yeah? And people are using to talk about the pain, about the colonial trauma, about things that are very emotional, but the joy of being black is not a very common topic, you could say. And I guess you should talk a little bit more about your intentions, your references for the work.
Yeah, bonjour, bonsoir. I will speak in English because I don't speak very well French. I can understand very well, I can read, but I cannot speak properly. Yeah, why Black Joy? I'm a filmmaker. This is my third work in visual arts, but I used to make more narrative films. And in Brazil, since more or less 8 years, those topics about race, gender became very on the top, let's say. Society is talking more about those issues in Brazil, more than ever. And things are changing a lot too, but it's far away from being equal or perfect or something that we could say, oh, we live in a democratic country. Because Brazil, the vast majority of Brazilian people are blacks or black descendants. We are 56, nine.
I don't know how many, but
whatever.
More than a half of the
yeah.
Brazilian population consider
themselves black. Blacks. And but if you go to the power places, if you turn on the TV, if you go to the whatever, good restaurants, good school, private schools, whatever, you won't see those people occupying those places. So we have a problem, of course. And I think it's important nowadays as an artist to start to questioning some things related to this new movement because nowadays, not only Brazil, here in Europe too, especially after Black Lives Matter demonstrations, people want to show that they are really inclusive, that they tend to work on diversity, but if you go deep inside, you will see that things didn't change at all. The power remain with the white people, the power still come from West, and etc. And because of this, I think that it's important to change some image that remain from colonial times about non-white people. And those images, they are always related to misery, to poorness, to hypersexuality. I mean, all those stigmas that put us down, you know, in terms of art, but also in the real life, you know, because when we start to stigmatize people in real life as well in art, you are feeding racism, you are feeding, you are perpetuating this idea. And I think that this image of poorness in Africa, every time we see something related about Africa in the West world has this poorness. Oh, they are poor. Oh, they don't have food to eat. They don't have this. They don't have that. And if you go to many places, to many countries in Africa, you will see beauty. You will see richness in many forms. You know, much more than here, I would say. And that's why I think it's part of this colonial project to put down people, you know, to keep this image that they are not happy, that they are messy, that they are not beautiful, or they are sexual, but they are not beautiful. And they are not clever, they are poor, they are this. You know, I mean, that's why I decided to create this video performance called Black Joy. I've been in MoMA this year, and I saw work of a black art collective that created a room where we could only relax and listen to yoga music and things like that. And this work was intended to only create good sensation and make people think that black people can also relax. And the majority of black people in America, they don't have this time. They cannot relax. They cannot go for yoga, or they cannot lay down and listen to Enya's music, you know. And that's why I start to think about Black Joy, you know. Okay, that's something that it's interesting to show, to talk about good things on being black, on being non-white in this Western society.
Great. I had an experience a month ago to be part of an exhibition in New York of an artist called Zé Palito. Zé is from São Paulo, from Limeira, but he lives in Baltimore. And he's a painter, and most of his characters are black. And he's quite known for the bright colors and to do a very positive portrait of black people. They are always happy, they are always well dressed, they are with a beautiful house, a beautiful car. And he invited me to write about this. And then I started searching about the history of Limeira, the place where he comes, to try to find out why he makes those very positive elements in his painting. And I discovered that in Limeira was the first farm to receive the non-enslaved workers from the immigrants from Europe. That was a political project to erase the blackness from Brazil, and they had like this project in 3 generations. Most of the population would become white, taking a part of a mistake that was a scientific mistake that some people created, that associated the blackness as a racial disorder, that the black genes would be associated to alcoholism, to laziness, and crimes. So it's very important to try to rewrite how the representation of black people in the art history. And I guess your work is one of the new perspectives that we have. I guess we should see the movie, watch the movie, would be nice. And then we talk about the more specific aspects.
Because it's in looping, I think maybe from the beginning it would be better. Yeah.
Pode falar, Dó. Adeus, menino galante, caçareiro, no espelho, de morrer em campanha, menino celeste. Teus olhos me cheios, já tem um corpo cativo, mesmo do apetite está no teu cativeiro. No mundo não há dinheiro que pague esses teus semblantes, teus olhos de diamante, teu rosto resplandecente, descarando na tua gente, adeus, menino galante. Até o menino galã, senhor da formosura, não sei se será loucura, que é esse do amante. No mundo sozinho de canto, tão generoso, perfeito, não tem que me peitador, sobre o senhor passareiro. Passareiro no meu peito, chato do meu coração, tenha de mim compaixão, que eu sou por teu respeito. Desde que não for aceito, vou para a terra da Espanha, para o centro das montanhas, é fato, eu vou cumprir só, se for para me tirar a morte, não veio nada. Vivendo eu de agradável, sofrei,
figuras como, por exemplo, na barca, que é um representante desses artistas, eu estava à frente da Semana de Arte de 22, e para além disso também era amigo de vários deles. O Vidéo era o presidente da Associação Eugenista Brasileira, né? Então, ele era um eugenista, era um racista, declarado, notório, sabido. E, obviamente, existia também nessa época um plano, um projeto de governo, né, que buscava o enriquecimento da população, sobretudo no Rio de Janeiro, era uma população de 80% de pessoas pretas, né, para esses intelectuais e para os políticos da época. Isso não era visto com bons olhos, né? O Brasil não estaria avançando na direção de uma civilidade, entre aspas, com 80% de uma população preta. Começam os primeiros programas para trazer europeus para trabalhar no Brasil, etc. Isso tudo, na verdade, era uma grande desculpa para um projeto eugenista e racista de embranquecimento da nação.
Nunca passei fome, nunca precisei ajudar meus pais a comprar uma casinha. Meu sonho não é comprar uma casa para meu pai e para minha mãe, porque meus pais me criaram a Podeló. Meus pais me criaram como uma princesa. Meu filho é maravilhoso, esse presente da sorte dos Estados Unidos. Meus netos são maravilhosos. A casa é ótima, 6 andares, 6 cachorros que eu amo, um namorado novo que me ama, a pele ótima. Não faço plástica, faço ginástica, faço esteira, como de tudo. Venho para Portugal convidada a fazer novela aqui, desgraça, não conheço. Porque eu sou uma pessoa boa, legal e amada pelo povo brasileiro. Porque uma pessoa ruim ou duas, para 130 milhões de brasileiros que me amam. Então não amo ninguém, é mais poderoso do que Deus e eu.
I said, don't worry, I'll give you shelter, I'll give you food every day. No problem. All you have to do is, I want to see you so this to myself again. That's all the requirement. You don't have to go and work. You don't have to serve me. You don't have to do anything. Nothing. Just sit here peacefully. We'll feed you. We'll worship you. So the problem is not in the world. The problem is not in the mind. The problem is not in the world that you live. The problem is just that you have not done the necessary things for this one to flow through this effortlessly. The necessary work has not been done. And we're just hoping it will happen by accident. It doesn't happen by accident.
Amiga, eu vou porque eu vou passar de carro aqui na frente, você passa de andar, caminhar, você poder ver. Até o lugar muito legal, você tinha feito aqui, o seu
Então a vida tá meio caótica, rápida no Rio, né? Mas tô bem, então agora também tá chiquérrima, só viaja. Quero te ver. Vou ficar na torcida pra gente conseguir, tá bom? Beijo.
Yeah, a lot of things to talk about. Let's start talking about your grandma. The first poem that you're showing, it was your grandmother that made it, wasn't it?
Yes, my grandmother voice speaking her own poem.
And how old is she? Sounds like a very interesting person.
She will turn 97 in September. Yeah. And she knows by heart all her poems, and she loves to speak out her poems. And we created an Instagram for her, so she can talk about her poems.
Which is?
Ademar Fidalgo, her name. Yeah.
And you also there's also an audio from your mother.
Yeah.
Could you share the history of your mother and your father,
yeah,
and the influence that they had in your career as a director?
Yeah. Well, my grandmother, she had 11 kids, and one of these kids is my father. And my father, together with my mother, they created in the 70s Teatro Profissional do Negro, which is the black professional Brazilian theater in Rio de Janeiro. And they were working on his plays. My father was a playwright and also a director, and also an actor. And my mother was more like the producer. She was more coordinating things, and yeah, they were exhibiting lots of different plays, and all those plays were speaking out on racism, of the black condition in Brazil, how is to be a black man, black woman in this country, in a time where those topics were not so welcome, let's say, during the dictator and this and that. But I was born in the middle of this project, so I was part of this casting, because they had a casting of not only black actors, but the majority were of this casting were formed by black actors, and I was the, how to say when you have a little kid in a cast, a mascot, yeah, I don't know how to say that in English, whatever. I was the little one there, since I was 2 more or less. I was performing with them.
So you're the 3rd generation of artists.
Yeah.
And another thing that is interesting that you made appropriation of a speech of Susana Vieira, which is a Brazilian artist. She claims to be one of the oldest big famous artists from Brazil. And what was your interest in her speech?
Well, she's a Brazilian actress, a very mediocre one, let's say. I mean, she acts only in novelas, soap operas. Her whole life she was never acting in theaters, or I don't remember if she was acting in any great film, whatever. But she's very popular because of the soap opera in Brazil. She has a huge career in it. I mean, since we were born, she was already there. And she's nowadays maybe, I don't know, in her 80s or 70s.
80-something.
Yeah, 70-something. No, I think she's younger. She might be 70-something. And she's a very interesting person because I think she illustrates very well this white privilege in Brazil, you know, where you don't need to worry with anything. You don't need to worry with the horrible things you say. You don't need to worry on social issues or whatever. You are allowed to do anything. And you're allowed to be even mediocre, you know, because you cannot be mediocre, you have to be the best. And even though she's 8, yeah. Wow. And and she's shameless, you know, she's shameless. She says horrible things with in a very natural way, and yeah, she became a meme. No, she became a meme because of those horrible speaks. And there are 2 moments on her in the performance. The first one, she's being interviewed in a Portuguese TV show, talk show, and she's very happy, saying that she had great parents, that she never had to work when she was younger, and she never had to worry about buying a house for the parents, and everything's perfect in her life. She has a great son who works at Sony in New York, whatever, and she has a boyfriend, and she has a great skin, whatever. I mean, I think this speech illustrates very well the white privilege in Brazil, you know, where you can say these kind of things without destroying your career, for example. You know. Yeah. And
so she puts herself together with God, said more powerful than
yeah, she compares herself as God, and I mean, and she's still being taken seriously. So it's the highest privilege you can have in a society. I mean, after saying those things and still be in the game, I mean, it shows a lot. And yeah, I think that's why I with these voices, collages, I don't know how to say it. College.
Not college.
No,
collage.
Collage. Yeah. I wanted to create a narrative, you know, all those ideas of happiness and joy, but also because, of course, I want to talk about black joy. I want to talk about the good things in life. And for me, for example, having a grandmother, a 96 years old grandmother alive with this memory, and being able to speak out beautiful poems is a joy, you know. And that's why I decided to start this video with my grandmother recitating this poem. And then I have this, then I talk about Monteiro Lobato, who is this very famous author, and he's very famous in Brazil. I don't talk there, but he's very famous in Brazil on childhood books. You know, everybody from our generation and before was raised reading his books, even at school. And he was one of the most famous racist and enthusiastic of the scientific, racism, whatever. Well, I'm just talking about many things together, happy and not so happy things, but in a positive way. I think that's why I decided to do this collage with different voices and different topics.
I don't know, I must say, I work as a curator, but I'm also a doctor, I'm a cardiologist. And it's funny that you bring a speech of Dr. Kathleen Conceição. Kathleen, she's a dermatologist, she's a professor, and she's specialized in black skin. And then you bring the scientific issues about the black skin that people don't talk that often. And Kathleen, she's very important because even though the medicine exists through I don't know how many years, but there are not many studies about the black skin and how to deal with the black skin. Most of the doctors are white, and this thing was put on was not that relevant. And now she's creating a group, an international group, to study about the black skin, and that's very important. So it's cool that you bring the eugenist, the pseudo-scientific things about Monteiro Lobato, and the scientific deal with Dr. Kathleen. And she never seen the movie yet,
no.
the video.
Yeah, I brought her because I think it's part of the self-care, you know, listen to things like that, you know, that were for many years not, it were erased, let's say. I mean, we never had the privilege to read magazines or to see doctors speaking on TV about our beauty, about our skins. And of course, black skins are different from white skins or whatever. We have more melanin and this and that. So we need to have a special care with it. So I think it's part of this joy to have the possibility to have someone, a doctor, speaking those things, you know, on self-care.
And she's talking more specifically that people say that the black skin cannot do lasers, the depilation, I don't know in English.
Brazilian wax?
Nah, not the Brazilian wax. Sorry, no, but you cannot use laser to. She said no, you can use laser. Yeah. She says that the black skin can make micro.
Agulhamento.
No, how much is that? Micropeeling.
Micropeeling, yes.
Something like that.
Micropeeling.
That people say that you cannot do it, but that you can make it.
Yeah. And you have to use solar protection.
Yeah, solar protection. Even though the melanin X is a block, as a sunblock, you must use it. And those myths that people create that the black skin you cannot do, and she said that you can, but you should find a doctor to do that.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, I think these kind of things, it can, for many people, it sounds very normal, let's say, ordinary, but for us, especially black people from Brazil, this is something new. This is something very important. We didn't have it a few years ago, you know, because everything was about white skin, about white hair, and this and that. You know, even if you were the majority of the population, You know, it was a very Eurocentric oriented society in all terms, from art piece to I was in German. From art to politics, and I mean, all the space possible. We had this big Eurocentric influence. Yeah, influence. And it was hard for us to create self-care and dignity, you know.
And Sabrina, could you talk a little bit about your project that you're doing worldwide? You're traveling the whole world, making a new documentary. Could you tell them a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'm here also here in Europe because of this. I'm shooting my new film, which is a feature documentary called Time to Change. I'm co-directing it together with Ademar who is a photographer from Switzerland.
Which is as known as face hunter.
Yeah, he's the face hunter. And the idea is to talk, to create conversations on the decolonization topic from my point of view and from his point of view. Because, again, I mean, when we talk about colonization, racism, all those topics, we always relate it to non-white people from the South Global. But I think this is the responsibility of the white people from North Global. I think it's something that should be more concerned here than there. Because this destruction project was created here to elsewhere. So we are doing this film.
Does anyone want to ask something or say? I don't know how many times you have left. No?
The question about the music.
The music. You're sampling Beyonce.
Oh, yeah.
How dare you?
She sampled Madonna.
How dare you? Who sampled someone else?
Yeah. She sampled Madonna, I sampled her, and what more do we have? Oh my God, no, we don't have the credits there, right?
The Mulheres Apaixonadas film.
Yeah. But this is the soundtrack of the interview itself. Yeah, because there was this song playing in the background.
It's nice that you're sampling Beyonce. I love her, I must say. I hope she make taking the tour, the Renaissance tour to Brazil, because I want to go so badly. And talking about Black Joy, Beyonce is now taking from the disco scene and the house musical scene, which are known for being created by black people. And most of them, the disco scene and the house music was made also by gay and transgender people. And I guess this style of music talks a lot about Black Joy in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's very appropriated.
Yeah, for sure. I think because of the horror, Agrada Quilomba, when she talks about the colonial times and everything that happens afterwards, was the horror, you know, because our past, our ancestors, they had no right to exist as humans. But even though they created beautiful things, and talking more about Brazil, they created the best things in our country, for example. I mean, everything that when we think about Brazil and culturally speaking, and when we think only about black culture, we think about music, and all great music in Brazil comes from black people, from Africa, descendant people, and in arts too is the same. I mean, even though always created to those ancestors were made to destroy them, recreate great things. And the same in the US with jazz, rock and blues, and then the disco music that was created to. The only reason why disco music exists is because gay people, Black and Latino gay people from the Bronx, they wanted to dance together in peace.
They were not allowed to go to formal clubs.
Yeah, they were not allowed to dance together anywhere, and that's why disco music was created to gay people dance together. You know, that's the beginning, and then we have soul music, and then we have, techno. Even if people like to claim that they go to Berlin to be in a rave or whatever, techno music comes from Detroit, and the whole house music scene and everything. I think art is a way that Black people find out to survive with happiness and joy. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Merci pour Thank you for coming.
Merci beaucoup. Merci Sabrina d'avoir fait cette vidéo pour l'exposition, spécialement pour l'exposition. Merci Ademar d'avoir écrit un texte et aussi d'avoir contribué à cette conversation. Merci à tous les deux. Le film de Sabrina, Black Joy, va être montré à Arles la semaine prochaine dans le cadre du festival On-Off qui fait un focus sur le Brésil, sur Brasil Imprevisto. Et je te demande, Hélène, de venir peut-être en parler Denise, pardon, ou Hélène qui préfère, juste pour nous raconter et nous donner encore plus envie d'aller à Arles.
Bonjour. J'étais très contente d'avoir eu l'opportunité de connaître William avant d'avoir clôturé la programmation que nous avons faite pour le off des rencontres d'art. Donc on est avec une programmation entièrement brésilienne qui montre la diversité de notre culture, de notre créativité, de notre talent à travers la photographie, puisque les rencontres d'art, c'est de la photographie. Mais dans l'image en mouvance, il y a de la photographie et c'est le sujet de cette capsule brésilienne, c'est la photographie qui discute avec d'autres arts, donc la littérature, la vidéo, le cinéma, la sculpture, donc toutes la danse. Toutes ces formes de photographie seront pendant la semaine professionnelle d'Arles exposées à la tombée de la nuit à la cour de l'Archevêché. Alors si vous êtes à Arles pendant la semaine professionnelle, je sais c'est court, mais c'est vraiment très éphémère. Ensuite, avec William, on a donc programmé avec l'acceptation, merci beaucoup Sabrina d'avoir accepté comme ça, sans avoir eu beaucoup avant connu les propos de cette capsule brésilienne, d'avoir accepté de venir avec Black Joy. Ça sera le samedi, la projection. Et avec Black Joy, on va également, on a programmé également 3 autres artistes qui parlent différemment, mais du même sujet. C'est Fernando Banzi avec une photographie, avec une série qu'il a fait, s'appelle Typos. Et il a utilisé l'archive photographique ancien de quelqu'un qui photographiait les dites cartes de visite Et les cartes de visite étaient une façon de donner un produit de vente qui étaient les esclaves à l'époque. Et ils étaient présentés par des cartes de visite, donc un portrait. Et ce photographe, il est intervenu sur ces archives pour recolorier, pour donner une dignité humaine et non pas de produits humanisés. Donc ces personnes qui étaient comme des chiffres et des produits de vente à ce moment-là au Brésil. Le travail également de Larissa Machada qui fait une vidéo très exotérique, et donc on voit bien nos influences d'un Brésil très croyant avec des diverses croyances qui cohabitent toutes. Je pense qu'on est un des seuls peuples où on est un petit peu catholique, un petit peu candomblé, un petit peu toutes choses. On croit à tout en même temps. Et c'est très particulier. Et Night Jinx, qui elle aussi, alors elle œuvre beaucoup pour combattre et pour parler, pour mettre en avant ce système d'eugénie et eugénisme qui va être dans le quotidien sans qu'on s'aperçoive. Il existe, il est là, et donc elle va attirer l'attention sur ça, sur une vidéo aussi qui est fantastique. Et avant ça, il y aura une table ronde le matin du samedi avec Sabrina et Carolina Rantes qui est ici présente. Carolina, si tu pouvais venir ici aussi faire quelques mots, je ne sais pas, sur ce que vous allez ensemble discuter. Peut-être que ceux qui ne seront pas présents pourraient avoir une dégustation. Un petit moment. Et Carolina, elle vient d'être nommée avec un livre qui vient de sortir, First Generation. J'ai eu un blanc. First Generation, sortie sur les éditions Fisheye. Elle a été nommée le prix HIP de livre du mois, et elle sera présente avec Fisheye aussi à Arles et sur notre table ronde. Je te laisse te présenter, tu te présenteras mieux que moi-même. Un petit peu. Ça va très bien. Avec Sabrina.
Tout d'abord, je voudrais remercier de cette invitation, de pouvoir partager cet espace de table ronde avec Sabrina, William et Michel qui seront là. Et je voudrais aussi dire que c'est assez impressionnant et dans le sens de joie de voir une exposition si belle, et que j'aurais aimé voir cette exposition au Brésil, des artistes africains, qui c'est dommage qu'on n'ait pas aujourd'hui autant d'espace dédié à l'importance de la culture africaine qui fait partie, comme a très bien dit Sabrina, de notre racine, d'une racine extrêmement importante dont on ne reconnaît pas. Et je viens juste fortifier ce que Sabrina a dit, parce que avec First Generation, qui est un livre que je viens de sortir sur la première génération de femmes françaises d'origine africaine, j'ai côtoyé beaucoup de femmes d'origine, d'ascendance sénégalaise, congolaise, malienne, et j'ai découvert en côtoyant ces femmes pendant 8 ans que les plats typiques de Minas Gerais, c'est un plat sénégalais. Et donc, cette découverte et cet détachement de savoir où commence une culture, où termine l'autre, qui au Brésil, on a fait, dans l'histoire, on a une sorte d'obligatorité d'effacer ces limites, justement, pour qu'on ne puisse pas donner la force de chaque culture comme l'africaine, mais a permis, à partir de cette histoire des femmes afro-françaises, de découvrir combien africains on est au Brésil. Donc, je suis assez ravie de partager cet espace avec Sabrina en Arles et de montrer cette histoire. Aussi, en parallèle, je parlerai un peu de Tombamento, qui est un travail que je suis en train de faire, ça fait beaucoup de temps au Brésil, sur la communauté LGBTQIA+, afro-féministe, dont je suis une alliée, dans le sens qu'on a commencé ce sujet en continuation, en cherchant avec le département de genre de l'Université de Bahia, donc la communauté Tombamento fait, qui est donc le mouvement afro-LGBTQIA+, féministe, dont on a reçu un prix des droits humains parce que cette communauté est devenue une plateforme de représentativité de cette communauté qui a reçu plusieurs prix. Après, ils ont été incentivés à faire leur art. Donc, tout ça, je pense qu'en entendant Sabrine, en parlant et être là en train de voir ce travail, ça me touche énormément de savoir qu'il résonne à des choses que j'ai dû faire un travail sur moi-même en tant que femme blanche et alliée pour contribuer à des réflexions qui sont super importantes pour une vraie démocratie, si on veut parler avec une démocratie en D majuscule, surtout au Brésil, qui est très colonial encore. Voilà, c'est ma présentation.
C'est la photo. Merci beaucoup.